Hey guys, Flabaliki here today, and welcome back to Planet Coaster Dark Ride Part 5? I think, maybe? Anyway, we're back finally. I say that every time, but you know, these take time, so I feel like you should be used to it at this point, that it's going to be a while between parts. But anyway, so I started off this episode and I thought, you know what, let's get into the landscaping. A lot of people suggested that I should just sort of build up some of the terrain around the back of the ride, just so it sort of covers up a lot of the random stuff that we have going on here. I was going to use the scenery lock option, and I did very briefly for just a second. You saw me turn it on, but it left too much of a gap between the sort of building and the terrain, so I thought I'll just manually sort of start adding terrain in, and I'm just sort of sculpting it, just trying to make it look okay. It doesn't even look that great in the end, to be honest, and I think I'll probably revisit it, but it was enough to keep me happy for now. At least gets all those random buildings that are poking out of my eyesight. My line of sight probably is a better way to say that. And yeah, so basically I'm just using all the tools, just chiseling it away so it doesn't come through the walls, because it looks stupid when it comes through the walls in rooms that it's not supposed to. So just sort of hiding it where it's not supposed to be seen, and just playing around, just seeing what else I could do. And again, that was the sort of scenery lock thing. I was seeing if I liked it going over the top of the roof. I did not. Now, a little disclaimer, a lot of this part is going to be just building the structure. And that is basically because it's something that has to be done. It's something that took, you know, around, I think it was just 2 hours of just building and trying to get the structure finished. So I wanted to basically enclose the entire ride, get it inside, and make it, you know, make it a building that's actually a building and not just a bunch of open walls that don't line up. And so I was spending a lot of time just trying to get that to work. So, and of course, don't worry, there is some interior sort of decorating and design going on a little bit later on. But of course, for now, we have to sort of get a lot of the structure done. And you'll see me doing a lot of this kind of stuff and then having to fix up a lot of it later on. Because especially the top of this chain lift, you can see how many different walls at different angles there are going on up here. And when I started actually putting it all together, it started half of it not working. Like, for example, that was one situation where it didn't work and I had to reposition the wall and then had to build down there. And then there's a lot of rooms where it sort of pokes through the wall. And of course, we have the grand galleon poking through the roof here that we don't actually want, because I didn't want to make the room below it any taller. So I have to go around here and then sort of encase this in a building as well and make it look okay. Basically, the whole thing looks like a big warehouse at the end, which is it looks cool. I mean, it's very blue. It's very, very blue. Don't get me wrong, but it definitely looks like a warehouse, so that's good. Anyway, so I'm just trying to figure out where, like, just based on the ship right now, I'm just placing roof pieces that, you know, where they would need to go to actually cover up certain parts of it. And you can see that I'm just trying to figure that out now. I obviously don't want it to look like the outline of a ship on the roof, because that would look kind of silly, so I'm placing roof pieces, then I'm adjusting some of them. And the most annoying thing, and I've said this before, is because the Grand Galleon has like this huge hitbox. It makes some walls that you just can't click on the walls again after you place them, or like roof pieces. You just can't click on stuff because the Galleon's in the way for some reason. It's so annoying. But anyway, so there's a few times where I try to place something and I can't pick it up again. And that just really, really annoyed me. Anyway, and then I just had to redo it, or just to build over it or something. There's a lot of times where we have a whole bunch of walls here that are just sort of overlapping themselves and all that kind of stuff. But it all works out in the end. The frame rate doesn't take a hit at all. But that's, I guess, I don't know how this would run on someone else's computer, but on my one, it seems to run fine. And of course, people generally ask sort of what system I'm running. If you click the link in the description down below, it's in the description of every video. It'll say, like, you know, my specs and gear. It'll link you to my website, and it has all the stuff I use there. It has all the specs, all the links to the products and everything. So you can check it all out there in case you're wondering what I'm running. Anyway, just sort of building up a bit of the roof. I wanted to raise up that section of the building just so it looked, you know, a little less flat, because I don't want a huge flat roof on the top. I was trying to make it look a little bit more interesting anyway, and you can see an example of that here where I've just sort of extended that bit, not that I needed to, just because I wanted to, just to extend it and make it look a little bit more interesting. Now this part here was actually, this is probably what annoyed me the most, building around the drop, like the drop of the ride here, and trying to get it to work in a way that looked good from the inside and looked okay from the outside as well. Because there's so many different angles of walls going on in this section. It's crazy. It got to the point where I was just so frustrated that I just didn't. I just stopped recording and came back later because I needed to take a break because there's so many walls. But it's something that had to be done, and I'm glad that I got it done and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's quite good. It does stick out of the wall a little bit at the end, but that's okay. Anyway, just duplicating it up because that's the best way to do it. And that's also where I realized that the whole roof section up the top there was all different heights when it really shouldn't have been. So that is something I have to fix as well in the near future, which will be in this video at some point. So that's really good. But yeah, look at that. It's such a mess right now. Just like looking at it, and I know you're thinking the same thing. You're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, what has he done? Yeah, just bear with me. It all comes together at the end of this video. It does. Just sort of filling in all the roof spaces, and then I realized when I built that chain lift thing, the top of it got cut off and there's a gap there, so I just put in these. Oh, those were really hard to place actually because of where the camera had to be. But anyway, going up the chain lift, there we go. Yeah, so it's pretty good. And then I realized that the whole chain lift building was too tall and that the roof didn't need to be that high, so I actually cut down every single one of these wall pieces and lowered them down because none of them needed to be up that high. Which I don't know why I ever did it. Oh, you know what? It was originally that height because of the Grand Galleon. We're going to have the whole building at that height, weren't we? That's why it was there. Didn't do that in the end, though, of course. Anyway, just putting a wall all the way down. It does sort of protrude a little bit out of the main wall, but it still looks okay. At the end of the day, as long as the ride looks beautiful on the inside, I don't care what the outside looks like. And that should be your motto for life, you know. As long as it's beautiful on the inside, it doesn't matter. I feel like using the word "it" there made that sentiment sound much worse than it was supposed to be. As long as they're beautiful on the inside, it doesn't matter what they look like on the outside. There you go. Oh, isn't that nice? That's a life lesson for you. Look at the walls. It's ridiculous though. There's so many walls in here, man. It was so frustrating, and it's probably frustrating for you to look at just because you're like, what is he doing? And trust me, you know, I know. It was frustrating for me too. I was trying to get these walls to like line up perfectly and all that, and I was like, oh, for God's sake. I got it as close as I could though, anyway, and I think it turned out okay. So I decided just to sort of do one grid square of it, and then try and duplicate it, as you can see, because that's usually quite a bit quicker to duplicate a section of wall rather than rebuild it every time. Now, I think I'm gonna have to go back into the sort of the harbor town room, because I think some of these walls are gonna sort of protrude into that, and I think that did end up happening for a bit of it, but I don't know. I think most of it's pretty easy to cover up, but I'll have to go back and have a look. Now, I built this whole roof, and then I realized, oh, these walls, you know, they all stick up through it. And here's a problem you'll notice. You can see I'm having trouble clicking on some things. It's because the bloody Grand Galleon was in the way. Look, I can't click on those roof pieces there because the stupid ship is in the way. Yeah, they need to fix that hitbox. It's so annoying. Anyway, so I had to leave those roof pieces there and actually just build over them with new ones. But that worked fine too, so whatever. Yeah, so instead I built all the roofs on like squares on top of the walls rather than on the same height as them, just so you didn't have the walls like poking through. Then I realized that wall came down way too low, and it'll definitely cut your head off as you go through there. So I had to fix that. Believe it or not, that's something you have to fix, is so a roller coaster doesn't cut your head off. I mean, it's kind of weird, but it's true. I was gonna do like those roof pieces as a base to the drop, but I was like, nah. Right, now, so figuring out what I wanted to do with this ride. Ideally, the way I wanted this ride to be, and I've said it in previous parts, was I just wanted it to be dark. I wanted it to be as dark as possible. And at nighttime, it does go dark, but during the daytime, it looks awful. So instead, what I've decided to do is I've basically created 3 different rooms within this ride space. You can see I'm blocking off one of them now. So that's that room there that I'm blocking off now will probably be another little village room, because I did a few set pieces in there already, just to sort of guide the design of the room. So that room will probably be another small little village that you sort of duck and weave through. So that should be quite interesting. The main room with the helix that you can see in it, that is actually all like an exterior set. So I start using terrain to create hills and all these kind of obstacles and that. So you'll see it in just a moment. But like I said, I'm just putting in some set pieces into this room here. I wish that tunnel piece could actually go over the track. That would have been nicer, but I was able to do it myself anyway. Anyway, yeah, so this is obviously not the final look. It was just basically a guide. So that's where, you know, the roller coaster will go through. And then what I'm going to do is build around that like set piece. I'm going to build around it and sort of fill it in with more buildings and walls and that kind of stuff. And similar thing down here as well. I'm putting another little piece just over this track. Again, similar idea. I'm going to build around it. But those are just sort of the guides of that room. That was the idea anyway, just so I know like that's where the track is going to go. It's going to go through a little building that looks like this. And then I'll add on to it, build around it and make it look a lot more interesting. Yeah, so that's one of the rooms. The second room, or I guess... No, it is the second room, I guess, is the one with the loop-de-loop. So that's going to be separate as well. You can see here that I'm sort of, this is where I decided, you know what, I'm going to use terrain editing to make this room because it'll look awesome. And now that we can do it as well. When I started this ride, obviously we couldn't do terrain editing, so that wasn't even on me radar. But I think it looks really cool. You'll see it sort of come together as we go through this. So I'm using sort of those tunnels. I did a tunnel there. And I do another one in just a moment. I'm using those tunnels as sort of doorways to the next room. So like it goes through that tunnel and it opens up into the next room with a loop-de-loop and all that. I had a lot of fun with this terrain tool. I think it's actually really cool because you can have, like with this, for example, that's after the big drop and it sort of banks around this little terrain, like sort of cliff face. It sort of banks around this little area and sort of swoops in. And I think it actually looks really, really cool. I'm super happy with it. At first, I thought it was, I'm going to be honest, when I first started doing it, it was just because it was like an easy way to decorate the room without having to use buildings. I was like, this would be much quicker than building a whole harbor town again. And it was, and it totally is, but it also looks fantastic. I'm super happy with it because it looks really, really cool. I have to use a lot of these sort of little flat shrub things on the ground because we have all those floor tiles. I mean, granted, I could remove those floor tiles, but I basically want this interior area that's decorated like exterior to look like a fake exterior, not a real one. So I kind of still wanted the floor there as well. So the floor does appear in a few places and you can actually see it through the ground sometimes, which I think is fine because that's sort of part of the nature of the ride. And we're using a lot of those shrubs again just to cover up all that, and then we get some ferns and we get some rocks and palm trees, and we're giving it this real sort of sea shanty, no, it's not even a shanty, just sea cove coastal ride. Look at that, we had a first person ride of the coaster just then. Oh, and if you're still watching up to this point in the video, I will let you know that there is a first person ride of the coaster at the end of this video. I didn't want to say it at the beginning because I didn't want people skipping to the end. And I still don't want you skipping to the end. If you skip to the end now to watch the first person view, then I feel like you shouldn't have watched this far anyway. But yeah, no, there is a first person ride of the coaster at the very end of this video. And I did that because, you know, loads of people were asking for it. I didn't want to do it until the coaster was done. But I think, especially those of you that will watch to this point in the video, you have earned it. You've earned it. You're dedicated. You're excited. And I think I want to reward you. Just make sure you don't tell other people, like, in the comments, because then that will spoil the surprise. And also it will cause people to just skip to the end of the video, right? So I want them to watch the video and discover it for themselves. Anyway, I was trying to create like a cliff along this sort of wall here, this exterior wall, just to, I don't know, just keep that sort of outdoor theme going, but make sure it didn't sort of stick through the wall on the other side. If that makes sense. But anyway, so we've got this whole sort of landscape on that room there. So you can see this is where I'm dividing the rooms now. Like we have those two tunnels. The two tunnels are the sort of barrier between the two rooms, which I'm pretty happy with actually. I really love the sort of helix room and all the terrain. I think that the terrain editing is such a powerful thing in this game. It really, really is. Like I could not imagine doing something like this in like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Like, you could do it, but it would probably look like arse and not be anywhere near as cool. Just like the fact that you can, like the coaster is so freeformed and you can do all the terrain editing as well. And the sort of scenery as well. The scenery items, like all the wall pieces are so dynamic where you can put them. It's crazy. It is crazy. I love it. Anyway, so going through and doing some roofing now. Now, actually, so when the game updated to Alpha 2 and they sort of beefed up coasters, it actually broke this coaster, and you may have seen it briefly just then, but we used to have the entrance on the small side of the station of the coaster. You can't put the entrance there anymore because on they have all this sort of little gates and that for people to get on the coaster on the larger side, and I can't put the entrance where I actually designed the entrance to go. So it's actually It's actually a bit of a problem to try and fix. I think I can change the type of the station, but I don't know if it's going to break. Yeah, no. Because I can change the station, but it'll change where the track has to go. So then that sort of breaks the rest of the station as well, and I have to change a lot of stuff. I don't know if I'll ever fix that, because it's not necessary. We can still test the ride. And it doesn't, to be honest, it doesn't really need people riding it, but... Oh, here you go. Look at like little first... This isn't the first person ride, by the way, that I was talking about. That was just me viewing it as I was building it because I needed to see what it looked like. There is a proper first person ride at the end. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever fix the station of this coaster or not. But like I said, it doesn't really matter because you can still ride it and still decorate it. I might fix it one day, but that's not today. So yeah, that was really annoying actually when I discovered that. But anyway, so this is the second room. The loop-de-loop room, I have no idea what I'm going to do in there. Because, like I said, the other room at the back, that's going to be another little town room with the two arches. The other room is a sort of terrain room with all the sort of hills and all that kind of stuff. What should I do in the loop-de-loop room? I don't know. Leave your comments and suggestions below on what I can do in this room. Because at the moment, it's literally just a room with floor and some terrain coming through from the room next to it. So, I don't know. Let me know what we should do in there. We could, I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is just making another terrain room, just slightly different. Maybe make it more foresty or something. I don't know. Or maybe, I was going to say a cave, but that would be pretty hard to fit in the space we've got because it's quite a small space, that room. Otherwise, it probably would have been a cool idea to make it a cave, like have the terrain going all up the walls and over the roof, so it's all like underground and all that. That would be cool. I don't know if I can fit it in. I like how I've just given myself a suggestion. Might try it. But if you've got any other ideas, let me know as well. So we're coming up to the final part of the building now. Just trying to get everything inside. Because we've got this weird open space. It's all like... It is a weird space. And I've got to try and sort of fit it all in and enclose it into one building that looks like it should be one building. I don't know why I deleted that wall. I could have just moved it. But anyway, yeah, so I've got to make it all into one building here and make it all inside because it's supposed to be, every single part of this coaster is supposed to be indoors. It's the indoor coaster. What the hell did I call it? Is it a dark ride or indoor coaster? I think I might have called it indoor. I don't know. Anyway, so we're just doing that, and then we just got this one little bit here left to do, and this main station building's not even done yet. I never finished that either. There's so much to do on this ride. But we are most definitely getting closer and closer with every part. So it's pretty exciting, guys. It's pretty exciting. We're nearly there. But this has been the culmination of hours and hours and hours upon hours of work. So it'll be nice when it's done. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. But I'm going to leave you with the first person view of the coaster right now. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. And have an awesome day.